Hello, everyone, and welcome to another riveting edition of Under the Floorboards, where we laugh at the creatures that go bum of the night. I am your host, John, joined as always by my beautiful co-host, Eric. How are you this week?
Fabulous.
Yeah, aside from the fact that we watched a shitty movie.
I'm trying to... What's funny is, like, I accidentally almost just called 911.
Will you come pick me up?
The irony of which is not lost on me.
So as you guys can probably tell by the title, which I'm recording this now, I really think I'm going to call the episode We Hate Hostel.
Yeah. Kind of surprised we ended up doing this movie.
Yeah,
for how much shit we've already talked about this movie and the guy that made it.
And I think, well, if he thought that he was just like everyone else instead of
Safe.
thinking... Yeah. I was going to use the word exalted, but I guess that works too.
You're going nowhere.
I mean, we're talking about a guy who thinks he's better than brown people at
true.
the end of the day.
And women.
And women.
Yeah. You know who he reminds me of? Myself.
The
Future president and former president, Donald.
the king of the carrot.
Right.
Oh, they call that 44 carat presidency.
Shut up.
They named that after me.
I already hate this episode. Oh, fuck.
So yeah, I looked at Eric and I was like, we've done the Hating the Haters episodes, which I think are very well deserved. But we have some hate in our hearts. And I'm sure some of you guys remember from our earlier episodes, John is trying to walk back into his villain era.
Yeah.
A little bit. I've been the friend of too many, and I'm trying to break that. And there's no better way than with Eli Roth, because fuck Eli Roth.
And I'm studying Oscar Wilde, which I think puts me in my extra gay era. So we've got a villain and an extra gay.
So I have an incredible story about that.
Okay, cool.
I
I can't wait to hear you tell me.
So growing up, I grew up in Texas, and when I moved to Virginia, I realized pretty early, because I think this is a pretty innate thing for people, is that racism and prejudices are really taught.
Yeah.
They're not just something that you are fucking born with. So I felt really bad because I had a friend for a long time, and our falling out had nothing to do with this story. This probably happened, our falling out happened 10 years later or something like that. But I was one of the first people that he ever came out to. And I feel so horrible because I laughed when he told me that. Because it's like a bunch of kids that are the Aryan children of being 11 to 13 years old. They're like, I'm gay. I'm like, yeah, you are.
right. Oh, I know. Yeah,
Tap him on the shoulder kind of shit. You're super fucking gay, bud. And as it turns out, he was super fucking gay, which was fine. And I learned that over the following year. Mm-hmm. The reason this ties into Oscar Wilde was hilarious because we went to this camp, not conversion camp.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know about me yet, but
half gay, half brown.
There was this guy that was one of the counselors there. He was probably in his mid 40s or something like that.
That checks out.
Yeah,
that's about right.
It was unisex. It was fine.
Yeah. Well.
He actually works at the Library of Congress now.
Nice.
If you ever need an in there to read some shit, because you're just doing that now.
I want your gayest shit you've got. Give me the gayest book in the Library of Congress.
Give me the Wild Files. But this guy would talk
I'm
about...
bisexual for anybody that's confused right now. That thinks I'm just bashing.
For anyone else who is also confused.
That's confused that I'm freely using the word gay like this.
I just do it because I love everybody.
Right,
so,
yeah. Oberyn had it right. He had a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the counselor would talk about the fact that one of his favorite authors of all time was Oscar Wilde. Mm-hmm. Now, I hadn't read Wilde yet because I was a lot more into Poe and horror. The way you imagine younger John, if you strip the emo away that you put in your head, that's pretty much what I was.
He wasn't listening to Hawthorne Heights, but he did read Edgar Allan Poe.
Unironically.
Yeah.
And So my buddy that I just told you guys about was like, I think he's gay. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, dude, Oscar Wilde was like, kind of gay.
Yeah, he was, dude. Oscar Wilde was like David Bowie before we had a concept of that.
That's incredible.
Yeah, like opulence, infinite.
And I've read some of it.
Infinite income and that kind of thing. He would go to parties dressed like fucking birds and shit with his nipples out and shit like that.
Honestly, the Eddie Izzard.
That's fair too. Yeah. I think
time.
a lot of those dudes are like that. I'm talking about like the pop icons.
Polyamorine.
Yeah. They're like bionicle. They all have different types. Oscar Wilde was an air type. I would say he was like a.
So I told him, I was like, first of all, I don't have a gaydar. Like. As it turns out, you literally have to tell me and then convince me that you are gay.
Prove it.
Go kiss that boy over there.
You want to see my video?
So,
I don't know why it's flowing back at
you. This was like one of the great, like, you see these interactions on like, God, what was I? In like sitcoms and shit like that, where like someone walks over to somebody else and it's silent and you just kind of see a lot of hand motions and you see people like they are talking, they're communicating, but it's like watching silent fucking film. He like walks over to him and I see like the hands go down and it's like watching a Charlie Chaplin film with homos.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. So a 1975 music video.
Exactly. So, the best part was this dude like looks up at him and looks back at me and finishes his conversation and walks back to me and goes, he's not gay. I was like, damn. Because also, like, by the way, I do apparently have a gaydar, but my gaydar is like if I'm attracted to a woman.
That means she's a lesbian.
Or she is bisexual.
Right.
She's probably a lesbian. More often than not, what it means is you're like 70-30. You got like the Freddie Mercury spectrum.
Right. Happens to the best of us, I gotta say.
I get it.
Yeah.
Girls are pretty.
Yeah.
But I guess we should talk about like this shitty movie.
Or we don't have to.
That's true.
Because this is the thing. This is a really shitty movie. This is a very shitty movie. This is a movie that could have been a short film.
Oh, totally.
You know,
with a really high budget for the blood, because like as we read, and by the way, guys, in case you haven't noticed yet, this is not going to be our usual format. We are literally about to just dog this dude.
They never talk about icons of literature. What's going on here?
First of all, John can't read.
Right. What are you, fucking gay?
And that was the thing of this fucking movie is like, it was incredible to me, like how comfortable, and I think it's because it's Quentin Tarantino presents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm assuming that means that he's a producer on this.
He had 51% of the money.
I'm just not going to do more research on
Dude, that guy's got the longest neck I've ever seen in my life. Jesus Christ.
But I'm not going to do more research on a film that I hated. Like, because I don't care. Because, all right, this is actually what I want to start off with Hostel and why I hate Hostel so much. And I really think why I'm so jaded to this whole concept of this Eli Roth film is it came out in 2005. Saw came out in 2004.
Okay.
What happened was I remember the media at the time being like, this is torture porn. And they put them in the same category. Like they are the same thing. First of all, James Wan knows how to write a story. I know The Conjuring happened, but he knows how to write a story. And Saw is one of the greatest franchises that ever came out of one of, in his mind, the simplest films. And I think it was a little bit of marketing targeting as well from the media because both of them are Lionsgate films.
Sure. Did you like Saw? You're gonna love Hostel.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. Oh man, did you love Murder?
Yeah.
You're gonna love Just Murder.
Did you love creative writing and literary elements that make something superior to something else? Buy a ticket.
It's just the
You're not going to see it here, but you should buy a ticket.
Dude's just like,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
like, but that was my biggest issue with it. Was I remember when Hostel came out, because I thought I was supposed to see it, you know, because it was the horror of my generation. Maybe it was gonna be the next Saw, even though Saw to me was already just fucking. Just fucking, I had never seen a film like that in my entire life, where the gravity to story was so perfect and balanced and necessary. And like, again, if you ever tell me that you knew that he was going to get up off the floor at the end of the movie, you're a fucking liar.
Yep.
But that was the thing, was like, Eli Roth set the media standard, which sucks, because that standard was fucking torture porn. And every subsequent film that he had done after that, because we already had Cabin Fever by this point, and Cabin Fever was a good movie. But you know why? There were 2 co-directors on that, because you had Eli Roth, Ty West, and Fede Alvarez, who was about to make the greatest alien movie that we've ever had.
Right. The comparison I'm going to make is the original Star Wars trilogy, when Lucas had people on his team that weren't just going to say yes to George Lucas.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's frustrating to see, because this movie set a standard that grouped in my favorite franchise with it for really kind of no reason.
Right. I'm going to take it a step further, because I feel like a franchise that I know we both mutually love too, the Terrifier series. Terrifier 1 has a sequence.
You made a great comment about
if you haven't seen Terrifier 1, like, just skip 30 seconds ahead. But like, there's a scene where where Art the Clown splits a woman from the vagine all the way down to the chest. Yeah, all the way down to the chest. And the argument there is this not just torture porn at the end of the day? It's not, because that isn't serving anything sexual for the person that's making this movie or the character that's doing this to this person. However,
because he also left her underwear on.
And right, like a gentleman. Hostel.
Art the Clown is a gentleman.
Hostel is serving something sexual both for Eli Roth and the person that is like performing these deeds in the characters that are performing these deeds in this movie. And you can't, that's what torture porn is it's porn, right?
Yeah.
Objective gore or torture is its own separate entity for that reason, because those things are not mutually exclusive, you know?
And that's the thing, is like, when you don't have a story to back why anything is happening, because you wanting to show me someone's penis getting snipped off while someone's walking by a doorway is not the same kind of build. Like,
right.
And honestly, I'm like, and I never knew this growing up, because when I watched it at the time, I had not really found Quentin Tarantino yet. So that name kind of like didn't escape me, but it wasn't like something that was like
Reservoir Dogs or whatever.
He was a producer on The Protector, which is a Tony Jaa movie in Thailand.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's just doing parlays and seeing what fucking hits to make his shit fucking work.
Yeah, I agree.
But
and Tarantino has Tarantino money, so Tarantino can do shit like that. You know?
Exactly. So it was really frustrating for me to like. And I've run into this situation. I've talked about this on the show before, so I won't get like too deep into it. But like, unless you want to listen to our Saw episode, that's probably the best way to do that. But I don't feel as though when I tell someone that I love the Saw series, that they really get it.
Yeah.
And I think that's so much media perception, which is really predicated on shit like Hostel. Because like, yes, Saw is a brutal series. It is super fucking bloody.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people got hurt. Many people died.
Ow.
Right.
But it's also one of those things where like there was so much that really happens in that even the shittiest movie. I know you don't like 5, and that's fine.
Yeah.
even 5 has more of a story
Totally.
than fucking Hostel does.
Totally. And I think what you're like alluding to, or what you're saying very literally, is that there is a difference between something having substance and something not having substance, and them having something like gore and screaming in common doesn't make them automatically associable. Right.
Or even the magnitude that it's happening at, I think is the big
thing. Yeah.
Because for that, I mean, like, I get that it's like, he's getting his penis cut off, she's getting her fucking rib cage ripped out. Like, and
is Mulan and the Lord of the Rings related because they both have dragons and swords? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was going to say, my answer was no, just because there's no Japan in Middle Earth. Just as there is no war in Ba Sing Se.
And that's kind of what my point is. I think it's unfairly associated because they have a similar subgenre to them, but it's only similar. It's like, that you could say that if you like Star Wars, you would love Star Trek. That's not necessarily true.
You're going to love Acolyte.
Right. You know what? Right. They both take place in space. There's guns. There's like aliens and shit. There's like white dudes kind of still control everything up here, but like that's fine. But like, just shit like that. It's not the same thing. It's just not. It's just not.
Yeah. No, and that's kind of my thing is again, like I remember when it came out, I really, really wanted to like it.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like hype. It wasn't like, it didn't have the Exorcist effect like some other films have had. And if you don't know what I mean by that, you should just listen to our other episodes. I'm done explaining that. Or look it up, I guess.
Yeah.
But
if you don't know what that means, you probably should pause listening to like horror podcasts.
But there wasn't like that stigma because again, there wasn't social media either. So there wasn't like, this is the bloodiest movie of 2025 or fucking whatever. And
what you heard through the grapevine was what your impression of the movie is before you've seen it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And again, like I had seen Cabin Fever at this point, which I enjoyed. And I was like, that's really fucking cool. And with Hostel, I was just kind of like, and don't get me wrong, I know there are people that are out there listening right now that are like, there wasn't a plot to fucking Cabin Fever. There was more than there was to this film. Yeah. It feels like, you know what it is? And this literally just occurred to me, is Hostel is a revenge film. That's what it actually falls into. It falls into shit like I Spit on Your Grave. It falls into shit like Even Lambs Have Teeth, which is one of our second highest listened to episodes, which is weird for you guys still, but
it's weird for us too.
Yeah. Because we had to actually like decide if we were going to do that fucking episode.
We almost didn't have our second biggest hit because we were concerned about doing a movie about sexual assault.
Maybe that's why we don't have a third biggest hit so far.
Yeah. This is going to be the third biggest hit. This episode's about to blow the fuck
you
up.
Sick fucking bastards. You sick fucking bastards. And that like, but that's what it is. It is a revenge movie because I should have said this at the beginning of the episode. Eric, I know this is your first time watching it.
Yeah.
For me, I literally watched through the first half and I was so bored because like, again, like it's story to Gravity, man. And there was no story in this film. It's
got the budget of like a big Hollywood movie, but it's got the like pacing of a really like first time indie movie. And it's just like a lot of
really expensive cinematography.
Right. A lot of shit just wasn't necessary. And you could argue that like in a suspense movie with quotations around the word suspense, you have a slow burn and a build up and that kind of thing. There wasn't anything building up though. They're
just in Amsterdam getting high and having sex with whores.
And when it pops off, it doesn't really pop off. It's just like, oh, now that guy's dead because he got drugged and he got taken to a torture chamber underneath a medieval museum about torture. And so did the other guy, it turns out. And so did the girl from earlier, it turns out, and that kind of. And so did a lot of people. It turns out a lot of these people are paying money to kill people, and that just is what it. And that's the whole plot of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all that happens.
I was gonna say, I think we should actually do, and I'll start this, but I think we should do our quick synopsis as if there would be another kind.
Yeah.
For this film.
Yeah.
I wish honestly that I was on video for this because I feel like it would look a lot like the dude from Clerks 2 when he's explaining fucking Lord of the Rings to everybody.
Right.
Because it's literally one of those things where it's like Americans go to Amsterdam to get high, Americans die, one lives, other Amsterdamians die.
Yeah.
And that's
the Amsterdamned, as it were.
God damn it, it was right there. God Amsterdam it.
But no, that's it. I mean, that's literally it. Even the girl that, like, our, I guess, protagonist, I never got that vibe from him. But our protagonist rescues heroically, ends up killing herself for, like, no reason. I guess it was just because she thought she was ugly because she had her eye carved out of her head.
It wasn't carved. It was blowtorched.
Blowtorched out of her head. So here's the thing, though. Yeah. Here's the thing.
Do it.
No.
Do it.
No.
Do it.
No.
I can edit it. Do it.
No.
I can edit it. Do it.
I'm just saying the Japanese have been through worse.
Yeah.
Of, like, heat destruction on bodily parts.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? Like, you're going to be fine. And
yeah.
I feel like...
It's like, I'm sorry you're not a shadow.
Yeah. I don't know. You're going to be fine. You survived. This dude got you out of this shit.
Kana wins.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it just... whatever.
Yeah.
The whole movie just kind of fucking sucks. Like, I know there are people out there, they're like, no, Hostel was actually a really suspenseful, like, gripping movie the first time I saw it. It's like, I believe you believe. It's like when people tell you that, like Switchfoot is one of their favorite rock bands. It's like, name 4 other rock bands, though. Hostel's one of my favorite horror.
Creed?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Skillet.
Exactly.
The Newsboys.
Exactly.
Know thine enemy.
Yeah.
I got it.
Miller Lite's my favorite beer. Cool. Have you ever drank anything that's not served in a gas station? You know what I mean? It's just one of those things for me that echoes through ignorance. Like,
yeah,
it is all that it is. It's like, you just don't know any better. Like, I'm sorry. I believe you believe that.
Oh, no, you're the cross-eyed kid from Hostel.
I know you feel like you had a really good time watching this, and maybe you did, but you just are going to have a better time with so much other shit that you don't even know about yet.
Because clearly you really like bad movies, which means when you watch a good movie, it's going to be so much better. I almost envy you. It's like envying the guy that doesn't realize that the world is a shit show because he doesn't have high intellectual thinking.
Oh, my sweet summer child.
Which I think is like the PC way of saying that now.
It used to be a lot quicker to say that.
I know, because fucking Eli Roth dropping the hard R, and that now it's like, which R?
Right. He does all of those early 2000s slurs that were just like, that laced every American's vocabulary. It just was what it was.
Because fuck Palestine. Is like his whole fucking rhetoric behind this. And by the way, guys, we are not those guys.
It occurs to me that we were taking intellectual context from people who put Nickelback and Trapped at the top, like, you know what I mean, at the top of the billboard. Dude, Limp Bizkit fucks, dude.
So far away.
And I'll be one of the first dudes that said, like, I said this before Deadpool made it cool. And I know you know this about me. I said this before Deadpool made it cool. Nickelback does not deserve, they're not great. They don't make, like, compelling music or anything like that. They do not deserve the hatred that they get. Trapped, however, is fronted by a huge egotistical narcissistic piece of shit, like that neoconservative kind of vibe and that kind of thing that just like, I just kind of like don't. He didn't actually say this, and I'm not actually going to say what I was going to say now that I think about it. But he's just
not the cross-eyed kid again.
But he's just one of those dudes, and that's how I feel like. It kind of just reminds me of Eli Roth. Like it reminds me of somebody who thinks so highly of themselves that they can't take an objective.
That they could make a Borderlands movie.
Right. And let me tell you about the Borderlands movie. This is my shit about the Borderlands movie, and this is the only point I care to make about the Borderlands movie. The people that can legally buy tickets for this movie aren't like, it's PG-13, right? So the people that can see a movie based off of an M-rated game can't even legally buy the fucking game for themselves for another 4 years. You know what I mean? Like,
and the game's only like $3 on Steam Summer Sale.
Right. Right. It would be like making a PG-13 version of, like, you know, I don't know, NWA or something like that. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
You know, or like,
especially for a movie that he thought was going to be NC-17 for,
and
like,
apparently he just that's what I'm saying. That like is what I mean when I say his ego, his sense of self-importance, and what he's quote getting away with doing that nobody's ever done before is so much lower than what it actually is, and it just hurts, dude.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I have an ultimate slam for that, because one of my biggest issues in the horror realm, I think the name of this episode is just "We Hate Eli Roth."
Cool.
But this motherfucker acting like Green Inferno was like breaking all these barriers in modern cinema. And he knows this because he has said it in interviews before. Green Inferno is just Cannibal Holocaust, which is also not a movie people should be making.
Yeah.
I met one of the girls from Cannibal Holocaust one time, and it was the girl that gets fucking assaulted by everybody. Here's the fucked up part about that. That shit wasn't in the script.
Yeah.
Like, the dudes were fucking uncomfortable because they were like, why are we doing this all of a sudden? So why would you make a shittier remake of a movie that shouldn't have been made in the first fucking place? And that's the ego that Eli Roth fucking has.
Right.
It's like, oh, they just didn't tap into it right the first time.
Yeah. This man,
I'm gonna tap that.
Right. And this man, he is quoted saying that he was watching his dog take a shit and said, "I want to do a Borderlands movie." Which is, for me, red flag number one. Like, and it doesn't make sense. I think you have summarized Eli Roth perfectly.
I think that whoever and this is like past Eli Roth, whoever the casting director was for Borderlands needs to never work in Hollywood again. I could not imagine, like, other than Jack Black, I guess, as Claptrap. And honestly, like, fuck Jack Black right now. Like, are you serious? Like, as it turns out, you can kill the metal.
Yeah. right.
And weirdly enough, it was politics at the end of the day.
Which is disgusting. That you allowed politics to kill music.
You killed the Rage Cage over this shit.
Right.
Because, like, I love Kyle Gass. He would never be famous without Jack Black.
No.
And that's fucked up.
But I also don't believe that Kyle Gass is a sociopathic maniac that would ever wish harm on another human being. You know what I mean? Like, I don't believe that. He's
a rock and roller and a comedian. They say shit like that.
That's on the fence all the time, you know?
I couldn't imagine, like, I just feel like Kyle Gass would be making the most flabbergasted face when Jack Black was like, wait.
Right. Too far. In fact, so far that I'm canceling the tour. In fact, so far that I'm not sure I ever want to make music with you ever again, man. What the fuck is that?
You made Master Exploder together,
right?
Man. Like, come on.
Yeah. The casting director for Borderlands approached it the same way that they did with the Mario movie. We're going to get a bunch of famous comedians and put them together, and we're going to cast like one or two industry darlings and put them in female roles.
The best thing for that film was Bad Omens. It's that scene of like, I can wait for you at the bottom, and it's fucking Luigi with the fucking manhole cover shielding Mario from Bowser's flames, and it's just like, I don't need to see the movie now.
Yeah.
I got everything I needed.
That's all I needed, right.
But yeah, I mean, like, let's talk about like some of the things that like kind of really bothered us in this movie, and I'll start off with some of them. First of all, I understand the plot has to progress somehow. I have never seen characters that are going to go try and pass the bar exam dumber in my entire life than in this situation. Because first of all, they're following some Icelandic guy that they met like 2 countries back on in a train station, and they're just like, I can't believe he disappeared on us. I was like, you don't know this guy.
Let's go to Paris. Okay, let's go to Amsterdam. Okay, after that we're going to go to Slovakia. After that we're, you know what I mean?
It's Potencia or what?
Let's see what Leningrad is all about for Americans.
Like,
let's just do the whole thing while we're at it.
We're gonna go have sex with Dutch women.
Right.
And these were the most pussy hungry people I have met in my entire fucking life. And not met, sorry, but have had the misfortune of watching on a fucking screen. It is mind boggling to me that these people weren't just like, maybe we just go to Barcelona. Instead, we have to go to a hostel because we know that we're going to get pussy there because the guy who's telling us the tale of the fucking Black Pearl and fucking cursed Aztec gold.
We knew this because of the music that was playing in the background.
I will get started on the music here in a minute.
Heard.
I will get started on the music in a minute because that shit was like, I was literally watching this film like, I wish Frank Dormani had at least done this to make the music make sense.
How much time does Dormani have?
Not a lot right now.
Dormani versus Superman. How much prep time does Dormani have?
He's got like kryptonite in his
right.
keyboard. He starts playing Listen to Your Heart,
right.
and Superman just explodes.
Right.
No, but like I couldn't imagine, like, just surmising the fact that these guys are like, we're gonna go get pussy in this other country, which is kind of the saddest thing I've ever heard because I couldn't imagine not having Riz.
Right.
Like,
you're a law student. You could all you had to do is say that you're a law student, and somebody's going to put their pants down for you.
Girl, you come back to America with me.
Yeah.
You're about to live in the land of the free heek. Like, yeah.
It was 2003, dude. We were still getting over 9/11, or 2005. We were like, we were still getting over 9/11. Proud of being American has been on the Billboard Top 40 for the last 4 straight years.
Speaking of which, like I'll pass the torch here in a second, but like the fact that we find out like later in the film that Americans are worth more to torture than like other people is racist, classist, and un-American. And it was fucking crazy to me that they were just like, how much did you pay? Yeah, I had to wait like a week because I just wanted a certain type. And I was just like, also the economy over there is so fucked, like, and I was feeling inflation just watching this because they were like, yeah, I paid $50,000. I was like, to fucking kill somebody?
Right.
What are you paying security? Because there's like 14 people on this compound,
and they didn't do shit.
And I'm seeing at least $70 an hour.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
So like,
but is it in like Slovak, like, you know, currency?
The euro?
Like, yeah, right. It's like, but based on their
Slovak euro.
That's what I'm saying, because it wouldn't just be backed on,
First
know what
of all,
I'm saying?
that is racist, classist, and un-American.
That's not my euro.
I said, wow, that's not my euro.
That's not my euro. We planned to do the entire episode with these voices, but we just hated it so much.
No, we're going to do an entire other episode with these voices.
Heard.
It's going to be a much. I can only keep a Trump voice for so long before I start breaking. So it's going to be like a fucking mini-sode or some shit like that. So keep an eye out for that. But anyways, you were saying.
Oh. This is how Wayne starts off all of his albums.
Young money.
All right, so this is my
Cut
thing.
his penis, baby.
Young eunuch, baby.
It's that fuck. He's a eunuch.
Eunuchy. Snip, snip. The parts that bother me.
Eunuchy.
Yeah. I love the trope of the people not knowing what the correct path to take is and making objectively stupid decisions, you know. However, there's no version of this where I'm following somebody who I'm pretty sure abducted my only friend that I know within 4,000 square miles of here.
Yeah.
Into like an alleyway, into an abandoned warehouse where there are like black limousines parked out
Like
of,
a
and
solid fucking cement.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
this place looked like it got hit by a bomb.
It did
and
look like
survived.
it, yeah. And it looked like, its structural integrity is questionable, but this is where we'll set up. It's like, it's one of those kind of parts of, I guess, Slovakia. I don't know. I don't fucking know. I don't know. But the questionable decisions, and it, again, like just the plot point of, like you said, there's like so many security people and so many people that are employed here that the idea that somebody could escape something like this because they kill their torturer and take their gun and just kind of recycle free guns for the rest of the movie is sort of absurd to me.
Yeah.
I just didn't. I didn't feel for any of the characters. Like I wasn't like,
because there was no development.
They
for
didn't develop.
anyone.
As far as I'm concerned, these are just two college assholes that probably have done something to some teenage girl at some point in their life that they like. They're getting their karma in this moment. And, you know what I mean?
Who has been roofied this time?
Right? They're all lacrosse players. That's a Harvard graduate, captain of the lacrosse team, passed the bar on his first attempt.
I almost said Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
but
Brock Purdy's a saint.
he is a saint. I'm not talking shit about Brock Purdy. I forgot the other Brock's name.
Brock Lesnar.
Didn't he kill his family?
I don't know. I don't fucking know.
I don't watch nearly enough wrestling.
Dude, I can't keep tabs on all these people and what they did or didn't do. I don't know why y'all.
Damn it! What did he do?
I don't know why y'all care so much. I'll be really fucking honest with you. Like, not to turn this into like a cancel culture episode, but like I don't.
We've been canceled way before we got to this point in the episode.
I do not understand why y'all care so much. That doesn't affect your day at all. you know what I mean?
All I'm gonna say is either way, I wasn't going to a P. Diddy concert.
That's all I'm saying. Right.
I mean, I'm glad that he's about to get fucking butt fucked in jail for the rest of his life. Or prison, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Prison and jail are not the same thing.
No.
I'm sorry for our
Wolf of Wall Street taught us
felons that I've offended, but
hey. Okay, cool.
my house gets fucking shot up. God damn you under the floorboards.
We're getting what's coming to us, I promise.
Well, that's the thing is like you would think that a film like this with this level of gravity would have like, all of it, you had this coming all along, but like it really
doesn't.
It just doesn't.
It seems like a lot of innocent people get killed. A lot of people that are doing this shit don't get killed, and one guy escapes.
And it's just, what I think is frustrating to me is it's like 45 minutes of just partying.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're like they take ecstasy with girls at some point, but there's no like
titties.
Yeah, it's just boobs.
Yeah.
It's why is your leg titty caca not filled with boobs and poop? Like that was the whole first 45 minutes of this fucking movie.
It's because I'm packing Lake Minnetonka. Mini Tonka.
Mini Tonka truck. They call me dump truck. But yeah, like I
my grievances are beyond the point that I even like care about talking. I'll be really honest with you. I hated pretty much everything about this movie.
I think that like one of my biggest issues of this entire film, and this comes back to the gravity versus story. They had Greg Nicotero do the special effects for this, who is like, he learned under Tom Savini. He did pretty much everything you see in the first 4 seasons of The Walking Dead. He did Creepshow. He was such a fucking powerhouse. And that really shows in the film. Like when they snap his Achilles, when they cut off the toe, when they have the fucking leg get cut off. But like, those are like, he's the highlight of the film. And I'm saying this transparently right now. I don't think that this is going to happen with Stream, which is a film that's coming out on August 21st that I am very excited to go see. But they have Damien Leone doing the special effects for the film. And I'm just like, I hope everything else stands up to that, because we've seen what Damien Leone can do.
And his fucking madness.
Because I feel like he's the guy who like throws a couple extra bucks in there just to make sure he gets what he wants out of the deal before he gets paid. Because like he just wants like, oh, you want the scene to look like this? Okay, well, I'm going to need this. I'm going to build an animatronic because he's from Jersey. I'm going to make some plasties so I can cut people's faces off. I'm going to kill your mom and drain her blood. And like, that's the kind of shit that I would expect from him. And I expect the same thing from Greg Nicotero. Which is really, again, like that was like the driving force of this movie. And that's what made it torture porn. It came back around, baby.
And that's just what it is. I mean, that's the bottom line is this is serving, like I've already said, something sexual, something carnal, something fucking reptilian. And the thing is, like, there's themes of like racism that are sprinkled in this, like the character that the character that we meet as Paxton is sneaking out and like assuming somebody else's identity, is we meet a character who's, you know, debating, do I do it quick, do I do it slow, do I enjoy it, it's supposed to be such a fucking rush, man. And he clearly paid for a Japanese girl, like, because that was what his MO was my choice is to kill a Japanese girl. And that's coming from a place that I don't like. I would prefer to have had that explored more,
but
because
like, he knows we won, right? Like, he knows that we've won World War II.
And that's kind of what my thing is I would love to have had that explained more in a form of character development. And all we get is this one scene of, oh, he's clearly mental, I'm going to leave now, you know? And it's fucking weird because there was a lot of potential in this movie to make it really psychological, and let's tap into the human condition and the mind of somebody who desires to cause harm to another human being and that kind of thing. And we don't get any of that because the focus is put so hard on how much fucking weird shit can we cram into 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And instead of like developing anything with substance. I mean, that was the difference for me with Saw, is we have a character that enjoys causing harm to other people, except it's coming from a place of like psychological warping that makes him believe that he's doing good, right?
Well, and it's also not just him that we're following, because there's character development that is literally surrounding our main character
and giving us details and giving us reasons to believe that this is why this person made this decision. It doesn't feel arbitrary. It doesn't feel subjective to the viewer to determine what's going on.
His penis off.
Right. I guess it's because you like cutting penises off, you know. It would have been a lot cooler to have a whole section about this is somebody who was like, you know, brutally, like, you know, whatever, something, they experienced something in their life, and their desire is to rob another man of his manhood, his ability to reproduce or something like that. That would have been more substantial. It's still fucking weird, but it would have been more substantial.
And it would have been darker.
Right, exactly.
Like, it
instead
would
of
have been
just
what
the
Eli
shock
Roth
value of
doing.
we're cutting this dude's penis off. This is why this person wants to do this. You know, what happened to them. Instead, we got these two college kids that are just kind of thrown into this world, and one doesn't make it and one does.
Right.
It would have been a lot more interesting for me if we had learned about maybe one or two of the individual people that are doing this instead, and one of their victims escapes. It turns out this
follow them a little bit.
It turns out that this victim is like a red herring, or that they're a red herring, and the victim is actually the protagonist, the one that does escape, and that kind of thing. That would have made me care about that character a lot more, and about the person who's doing the torturing. Instead, we get this dude who's like apparently never had a boner before, unless blood was involved or something like that, and that's all it was. I mean, the way that he like almost fucking had a heart attack and had to stop himself. No, let's get a ball gag in there, you know, and just shit like that. You know what I mean?
It
was
weirder,
right? It was just the whole thing was just based on shock value, and that's not substantial enough for me.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go down a road this dark, go all the way fucking down that road.
Yeah.
Let's see how far we can really push this thing. You know, that was your NC-17 rating.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
that he really wanted, that he believed he had with this movie, and that to me means that he made a movie that he didn't know what it actually was, which is always a sign of a really bad artist.
Fucking cheers to
you
that.
know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if you don't know what you're making, don't make it.
Yeah.
Don't make it. That's just the bottom line. If the goal is to get cheap thrills and that kind of thing, again, I feel like you could have done this movie in 30 minutes, 20 or 30 minutes.
Could have been a YouTube short.
So that's my take, I guess. I don't know how much longer you want to go on this, but I would probably
we're almost done.
I was going to call that my final thought. So
yeah, I mean, like, I feel like I don't have too much more to contribute to this film, honestly, because again, like, nothing really happened, and like, there was nobody to root for. Like, I think we talked about this last week. I had a conversation with one of the creative writing teachers of Wake Forest. And it's the difference between what makes something a tragedy and what makes something where bad shit just happens to somebody. And I think Hostel is the epitome of like bad shit just happens to somebody. And it's one of those things where I think with what I'm writing right now, why I hit such a fucking wall is because I don't care about anything that's happening to anybody, and I'm having Eli Roth syndrome right now. So I need I need a James Wan injection into my ass to like make this shit really function, because like I don't even want to break this movie down because nothing fucking happens.
There's nothing to talk about. It's so surface level and shallow that it lacks anything to really dissect, and that's part of the reason why we did the format this way. You know,
I have taken ecstasy with whores plenty of times, and I have never made a movie about it.
Yeah, right. I think about, I really like what that professor said, or what that director said about the difference, right? Because I'm going to circle back to Oscar Wilde for a second. I don't know if you've ever read Dorian Gray, but one of the primary elements of Dorian Gray is that as Dorian, the character, loses his sense of goodness and his sense of youthfulness and humanity and things like that, the portrait sort of like shifts to reflect his lack of humanity, his lack of goodness. In one scene, he goes into a relationship with an actress, and this actress is gorgeous, and he talks about her. She's got so much talent. She's got so much ability. I love that every night that I come home, I get to sleep with Juliet. I get to sleep with
the tights underneath.
Right. I get to sleep with, all these characters because I feel like she embodies them so perfectly. I'm living in this like artistic fantasy where I'm with these characters that I've loved for my entire life. Comes to a night where he brings his friends out, his two top homies, the guy that painted the portrait of him and the guy that funded the and that kind of, and he's just total aristocracy. This is what we do. And she gives the worst performance anybody in that theater has ever seen. There's like 5 people still in the theater when it's over. And she talks about after the show, it's because I was saying things that Juliet was saying, but I was feeling what I feel for you as a person, right? And he says, yeah, but you've killed every ounce of love I have for you because you've become this thing that I no longer desire. You've broken out of that role and that kind of thing. And he goes back home after basically saying, I don't love you anymore. I no longer want to marry you. We're cutting this off. And he notices that portrait has a faint glimmer of a frown. There's a furrow in the brow and that kind of thing. And he's like, was I cruel to her? So the next morning comes, and he goes and sees his homie. He's like, I'm going to apologize. I do want to marry her. Whatever the fuck happened last night was just me being a piece of shit and that kind of thing. And she ends up killing herself over this, right?
Solid.
And so this is a perfect example of tragedy striking,
right?
Because this isn't just Dorian Gray's a piece of shit and bad shit happens to Dorian Gray. This is him trying to recover his humanity.
He thinks that he is always
and now
trying to do the best thing.
And now it's too late to make amends with this. And one of the dudes, one of his homies, ends up kind of like talking him down from it. Hey, this is just the fascination of humanity. This is just what happens in life and that kind of thing. And it's really powerful because of how committed Wilde was to developing these characters and making you like believe that what was happening was truly tragic and it wasn't something that was just arbitrarily sad or whatever. Totally. And that's why and I'm not comparing Eli Roth to Oscar Wilde. I'm just saying
no one thought that.
Yeah, I'm just saying that like when you're writing something that's good, it's because it's good. It's not because you believe it's good.
Right.
Right. And so yeah,
and that was the
Hostel is not an example of something.
and this was a movie where he really had a team behind him.
Yeah,
and that again, I still can't believe Quentin Tarantino read this and was like, Eli, I really think this is good. I really think this is fucking good. I think you need to say the R word a little bit more, and I think that you need to have more feet available in the spa room when we're looking at titties. And that's kind of like how I surmise how that whole conversation went down. But like, that's really how I feel about the whole fucking movie too. But honestly, guys, if you've enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear it because we will do a couple more not Eli Roth movies. We're gonna have to take a break for a while. This felt like Shark Month in a fucking episode.
In an afternoon.
But we definitely have some shit already on queue, like fucking Antrim and Jesus Christ Superstar. Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter.
Right.
I'm sorry. But for the low price of $3 a month, we will do Jesus Christ Superstar. But on that note, fuck Eli Roth. Free Palestine.
I'm so mad you made Borderlands.
I'm
so mad that this is going to be people's first taste of this franchise.
I hate that Jamie Lee Curtis is taking a cash grab. Like, I really thought that
Kate
she was
Blanchett.
doing.
Yeah.
No, Jamie Lee Curtis is playing Tannis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just don't care. I stopped
know,
reading that cast
I
list
know.
after it said Kevin Hart is rolling. So
With our fucking 5-3 rolling.
right.
Well, thank you guys for joining us on an episode that we semi-enjoyed, and thank you for joining us where it creaks, it cracks, and we laugh at the creatures that go bump in the night.